What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horrorheads podcast. I am Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
What's going on, dude?
Nothing much, man. Chilling. Excited to get back into it. You can follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast or email us your love and hate at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. Today we're going to talk about the new, listed as a horror, I feel like it's more of a black comedy. We're going to talk about 2025's Companion, which just came out to streaming. But before we get into that, I watched a really wild movie the other night that I'm like super excited to talk about. I saw this movie, Grafted, which is on Shudder. Have you seen it or heard of it?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, just by the name, it sounds like some sort of body horror film. So
It
that's
it
what
kind
I'm
of is,
guessing.
yeah. It's kind of body horror. It's kind of like a cross between like The Substance and like Mean Girls or Jennifer's Body. It basically follows this young girl named Wei who moves from China to New Zealand to stay with her family. Wei is kind of like this. She's a super genius, but she's really awkward and just kind of psychotic, and she has like a skin condition. Anyway, she's basically working on this scientific experiment to make skin grafting like possible. And what happens is she ends up accidentally killing her cousin and discovers that she could wear other people's skin and starts to go around as them. And the movie is just, I thought it was awesome. Like the acting is really great. It's like really colorful. It's really well shot. The music is really cool. It's definitely body horror and it gets gross at sometimes. Like there's definitely some gore and some disgusting shit. But man, I really loved it and I was surprised. I just like, yeah, I'll watch this movie and I can't stop thinking about it. So I highly recommend Grafted on Shudder.
I think I saw it on Shudder, but just from that description that you just gave and the description probably written there, I was like, oh, this is just going to be gross. And I really have to be in the mood to watch something gross.
I feel that. I mean, the whole thing is not gross, but it does have some gross parts
Uh,
to it. But it was super creative, and it's like it's always like refreshing to see something that's completely different and new. And yeah, I if you want to watch something that's a little different, a little wild, but also gross, check out Crafted on Shudder. Yeah. Anyway, I love the movie. I thought it was really cool. I did something very different this weekend that I haven't done in a long time. And what I did was I watched a lot of horror movies I never saw before. In fact, I watched
really?
other than Grafted, I got like in the mood and I watched seven other horror movies. And what we're going to do before we kind of get into talking about Companion is we're going to play a little drinking game. We're going to start things off
Wait.
with the drinking. And so we've done like, I think 27, 28 episodes at this point. So I think you can pretty much tell what I'm going to like versus what I'm not going to like. So what I'm going to do once we pour and go through our bourbon and taste it, I'm going to name the title, the year, and then I'm going to give you the synopsis of IMDb, and you're going to guess whether I liked the movie or hated it. And if you get it right, I'm going to drink, and if you get it wrong, you're going to drink, and that's the game, and that's what we're going to do.
That's really interesting. How many movies did you watch?
I watched seven, so this could go horribly
Oh
wrong for one of us.
my.
I think you're gonna get most of them because it's like by you hear that I think you're gonna get it based on like my quirky things that I like. But if not, fuck it. But you know, look, we're talking about one movie today, so there's not going to be like a ton of drinking. So I wanted to make sure that we got that
Oh
in.
man.
So what do you got to kind of suffer with tonight? What's your poison? What are you drinking?
Oh, well, actually wish that Mike was here because I know he's loving this brand right now. It's Barrel, our media. This is some crazy cash strength over here. It's 113 proof.
Oh, maybe you picked the wrong
Yeah,
one.
I know. It won the gold medal in the World Spirits competition, and it's finished in pear brandy, rum, and Sicilian Amaro casks. So this is a pretty flavorful bourbon. I only had a few sips a couple days ago just to try it out. I liked it, but I don't really remember the taste. So when I taste it, it's going to be pretty interesting.
Okay, cool. That's exciting. That sounds really fancy, and I hope your palate can pick it up. I have something that's more of a classic. I'm drinking Buffalo Trace tonight, which
Mm.
I've never had before. I know we were talking about doing it for a recent episode, but we didn't. So I'm going to drink this. It's 45% alcohol, so 90 proof, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So I'm going to pour a nice big glass of this because I know I'm going to be drinking it. And let's see what this is all about. So you ready? Cheers.
Yeah, here we go. Cheers. All right. Mm. Oh my Lord. Wow,
So what are you
that
getting?
is fire. Wow. You know what? I'm getting a lot of flavor from this. I should be better at this since our bourbon tasting last week, but I'm definitely getting a lot of sweet notes, which what I think, and I'm very familiar with this, is brandy. I feel like I'm getting a lot of brandy notes. I drink a lot of brandy. Brandy is actually one of my favorite things to drink when I'm not drinking bourbon. So it kind of tastes like a very fiery bourbon with a nice sweet brandy taste at the end. So I'm liking it.
That must be the pear that you mentioned. That kind of
Yeah,
gives you
that
that
could
brandy
be
taste.
that could be it. But I do like a good brandy. I sip a lot of E&J Blue. So I like that. It's my jam.
Nice. So this Buffalo Trace, it's interesting because the initial it's very sweet forward. So I got that like caramel right away, but then that kind of goes away and I'm getting more of that grainy, more alcohol, like ethanol taste, I
Mm.
guess, which we get from a Woodford. So I feel like it's somewhat similar to the Woodford that we had last week. It's good though. I'll drink that. I drink this.
I actually love Buffalo Trace, and I'm gonna tell you, I think it really shines in an old fashioned.
Mm.
So I don't know if you made any cocktails with it yet,
No, not
but
yet.
I
I haven't
think
sipped it till now.
I think I mean I definitely drink it on ice. I drink it straight sometimes, but I think if I'm going to make an old fashioned, I think it's like one of my probably top two or top three bourbons because it really stands out. It really has a great flavor.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that after we wrap this podcast because like I like
Yeah,
it.
try it tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I got a whole bottle to drink here. I like it. I don't love it, but maybe it's better in a mixed drink. So, all right, you ready to play this drinking game? And hopefully you don't
No,
have to do 7 consecutive sips.
no, I'm not.
Oh, well, too bad because we're gonna do it.
Okay.
So we'll do this first, and then we'll get into discussing companion. So I'm gonna list again 7 movies, and
Okay.
I'm gonna give you just the year and the synopsis, and you have to guess did Rich like this movie or did he hate it? So I'm gonna give you the
Okay.
first one. First one is called New Life. It is from 2023, and the synopsis is Jess, a woman on the run, desperate to cross the Canadian border to escape her past. On her tail is Elsa, a resourceful agent whose recent life altering diagnosis leaves her one step behind. As their chase narrows to the mountains of the Pacific Northwest, holes in Elsa's investigation begin to fill with fresh bodies.
Mhm. I
Did I
mean,
like
this,
it or did I hate it? That was a long synopsis, too.
what was the name of the movie again?
It was called New Life.
New Life. Is it rated R? Can you tell me that?
There's, yeah, I mean, there's gore and there's some
Okay. All
violence
right.
in it.
Okay.
All of
So,
these are probably rated R, all the ones I'm giving you.
okay. I just need a few more hints. Okay. It sounds pretty awful to me. So I'm going to say, no, you did not like it.
I definitely did not like this movie, and I will stick to
Yes.
that. So it's funny because I was looking for something to watch, and this ended up on someone's like top list of like scariest movies they've ever seen. So I'm like
Mm.
super stoked. I'm like, cool. And I read a different synopsis when I read about it, but it sounded interesting. I was like, okay, woman on the run, mysterious past, etc. This was awful, and like what was really, it was just so slow and boring. It was really more of a drama than anything else that had
Mhm.
some horror elements like in the last 20, 30 minutes or so. Basically, like there's a virus that causes like a 28 days later kind of zombie kind of thing, but really it only happens at the very end and very briefly. There's like some good makeup and gore, but yeah, it's drama heavy, and this movie like has the flaw of there are lots of scenes that are pointless. And like when you write a script for a movie, you can have like, small talk dialogue, but it needs to kind of build to something or have
Go
some kind of character.
somewhere.
Yeah, there's just like long conversations that are just about nothing. So this movie was awful. I don't know how this was like on a scary
All
list.
right. Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
I'm
drink my
going to give,
sip.
yeah, take your sip and I'm going to give this one a skip.
This one,
Like
this one is
if I ever see it.
this one is a skip. It is not a horror movie. It felt like a
Okay.
Lifetime movie more than anything else. That they threw in some zombies at the end. Okay, I'll give you the next one. This one is called Nail Biter. It is from
Mm,
2013, and I'll give the synopsis.
mhm,
The McGuire family is forced to take sudden refuge from a deadly tornado in a
mm.
seemingly abandoned storm cellar.
Man, this sounds amazing. I'm going to say you loved it.
Actually, so I didn't love it, but I did like it. So you got another
All
one right. I'm
right.
gonna take a sip to that.
Okay.
This movie was interesting. It was really low budget. It was kind of silly at points. And basically the premise is there's this small town in Kansas that whenever there's a big storm like a tornado, it turns the townsfolk into werewolves. Or I think they were werewolves. There was some kind of creature. And this one family is like, they're trying to escape this tornado and they hide out in the storm cellar and then they get locked in by the werewolves and have to escape. And I'll be honest, it wasn't bad. I would say it was good, but it wasn't bad. It was entertaining, and I was kind of like surprised by how I kind of enjoyed this movie. So I'm gonna take another sip. See, it's working out for you.
Yeah, I don't want to get too arrogant yet, but honestly, it sounds like a movie that I want to watch. So, do you think I would like it?
I think so. I think it's like it's entertaining. It's not good. It's like kind of like a bad movie. I know you like shitty movies, so I think you'd
I do.
probably
My
like this
favorite.
one. Yeah. Okay. Next up is The Harbinger or Harbinger. How do you spell
Okay.
Harbinger?
Harbinger,
Harbinger.
yeah.
Harbinger. The
Yeah.
Harbinger. It is
Yeah.
2022, and I'll give you the plot. Monique ventures out of quarantine to visit an old friend who's plagued by nightmares. She finds herself drawn into a hellish dreamscape where she must face her greatest fears or risk having never existed at all.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. This is a tough one because in my head this sounds like something that I would absolutely hate, but it feels like it checks a couple boxes for you. So I'm gonna say you liked it.
So surprisingly, I did not like this movie, and it did
Oh, all
have
right, taking my sip here.
yeah, it did have like elements that I would like. Like there's a lot of kind of creepy-ish dreams. The actual ghost monster in the movie is dressed like the plague doctors, so it looked like super creepy and cool. But the movie just went nowhere, and like at first, like the the plague doctor was kind of creepy, but after a while it just kind of got boring and it was like hard to tell what was dream and reality. The one thing about this movie that's interesting is it shows you how crazy certain people were during COVID, like the people that like wouldn't like go outside and like the movie has a lot of that, which is kind of it's hard to watch now. It's like kind of cringy. You're like, damn, people were like that
Yeah.
scared. And I'm not saying I wasn't, but it was just like it really shows that like it's a moment in time that like if you didn't live through it, you probably wouldn't get it. But yeah, I did not like that movie. Um,
Damn. Okay, so we're 2-1 right now.
2-1,
Okay.
2-1. Okay, next is Don't Look Away. That's from 2023. Here's the synopsis. It doesn't move, it doesn't think, it just kills. For one young woman, a chance encounter with a supernatural entity proves devastating. Frankie learns that once you see the mannequin, there may be no end in sight except for your own.
Did you say mannequin? Did you say mannequin?
Yeah, the movie
Okay.
is about a killer mannequin.
All right. I feel like you would love a movie about a killer mannequin.
I think you are absolutely right because I really did love this movie. This movie was it was so it was kind
It
of
sounds terrible. I would not.
yeah.
Well, I
You
don't
know
want to
what?
watch it.
It's interesting though because it's like the movie's very tongue in cheek, but it plays itself really seriously. And what the plot is like there's a group of hipsters basically that in Jersey, it takes place in Jersey. It's a group of hipsters, and they see this male naked mannequin. But once you look away, it moves closer. So as long as you're looking at it, it doesn't move. But you look away and it moves closer until ultimately it kills you and it stalks them one by one. Yeah, I actually really like this
Oh my
movie.
God. I seen this movie, but I turned it off after like
No,
10 minutes.
oh, I actually
I
really dug
remember
it.
that. I remember it now. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool. If you didn't like it for the first 10 minutes, you're probably not gonna like it because it kind of
Yeah.
doesn't really change tone. But I thought it was fun. I don't know. I thought it was a creative idea. It was kind of cool. It was kind of like it was funny without being funny. And yeah, I would definitely recommend Don't Look Away if you want to see something a little different. But it is about, a killer naked male mannequin.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's a sip. That's a sip for you then.
Oh
I don't know
shit,
if you
that's
took
right.
it. Yeah.
No, I did
Yeah.
not. I was busy talking about how much I love that movie, sipping.
Yeah. Like
Okay. Let's see. We have three more.
I'm
Four
doing all
more.
right. I'm
Shit, four
doing all
more.
right.
Okay, I guess I
Shit.
had eight, not seven. All right. Open Graves from 22. I'm sorry, Open Graves. So in 2009, a group of surfers discover an old board game which claims a life every time it's played.
That's it. That's the whole plot.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna say you did not like this
I
movie.
definitely did not like this movie, so I'll
Okay.
take a sip.
Woo!
I thought I might though. It stars Elijah Dushku, who was Faith
Woo.
in Buffy, who I
Yeah.
know we're both a fan of, and
Yeah.
she's like one of the leads in it. And yeah, it's kind of like a Final Destination type movie, which is fine. I could get into it, but like the CGI is like really
Oh.
terrible in it. Like it just looks silly. It looks like a movie, like a Sci-Fi Channel kind of movie. The ending is really ridiculous.
Mm.
I definitely would not recommend it. There's like there's like no nudity or anything. It's just kind of like whatever, blah. But yeah, I mean, look, if coming out in 2009, it probably came out right after like the Final Destination movies. I forget when those were popular, but it's a ripoff of that. All right, three more. The Long Night from 2022.
I know this film and I
Okay,
love
cool.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna read the plot.
Go ahead, read the plot so other
Uh,
people know.
A devoted couple's quiet weekend takes a bizarre turn when a nightmarish cult and their maniacal leader come to fulfill an apocalyptic prophecy. I'm having trouble reading today. Probably the bourbon.
Yeah, it's all right, man. I mean, it's a cult home invasion film. I liked it a lot. But did you like it? For some reason, I feel like there's a point in this film where it really trails off. So I'm gonna say you didn't like it.
And you are absolutely correct, and that is true. It started out, yeah, it started out pretty cool, and I was kind of into it, but then there's a certain point, maybe 30, 40 minutes in,
Yeah.
where I don't know if it takes a turn, but it just like got really confusing and just really silly. Yeah, I definitely did not like this movie. They kill an animal in it. I didn't
Yeah,
really like
I
it.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did watch this film like 3 or 4 times. I'm
Oh
really
shit.
into it. Obviously, I know when the animal part is, and I usually just kind of skip past that. But there are a lot of things I do like about it. I think it's creepy. I like it. I'm giving it a thumbs up. You're giving it a skip, but you have to sip.
I did,
So
and I sipped, and I said, "Yeah,
nice.
look, it has all the elements of a movie I would like. It didn't hit for me." Okay, two more. Finders Keepers from 2014. A divorced mother of one is thrown into turmoil when her young daughter becomes obsessed with an evil doll left behind by the previous occupants of their new home.
It's supernatural. It's paranormal. It definitely checks a few boxes for you. But it's kids involved. It's creepy. I'm gonna say you liked it.
Okay, I did not like it.
Oh,
And you were
yeah.
right because like evil doll movies are usually something that I will watch and I will get
hmm
into. But yeah,
Oh man.
this was like a made for sci-fi channel movie, and you could tell
Oh,
it just felt like it. It wasn't really creepy for me. The doll was kind of scary looking, but it was just kind of lame. And yeah, the whole creepy kid thing I don't really do well with. Like, and the kid kind of gets possessed by some stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna say that one's a pass for me. All right, one more, last one, and we're there.
I've been doing pretty good. So, are we doing a any sort of wager on this
Oh,
one?
you know what? Yeah, we can. Fuck it. Yeah, you've gotten most of these so far. So yeah, let's do a
I,
wager on this one. What do you want to do?
let's do 3 sips, man. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
All
I'm
right.
sure you saved the best for last. So let's
Oh,
see
of
what we
course,
got.
of course. Okay, actually, these were in no order whatsoever. Okay, the final one is The Stylist from 2020. A lonely hairstylist becomes obsessed with the lives of her clients and descends into murderous madness.
All right, so I'm gonna say this is not a real movie, and you just made this up for the competition here.
I just want to see if you
Um,
like it, just so I can like write this movie, like and direct it.
um, it's about a hairstyle. Oh my God. This could go many different ways. 3 sips. I'm gonna say it's so out there that you liked it.
Yeah, you're correct. This is like exactly the kind of movie I would like.
Take your 3 sips.
Oh shit, three. That's right.
Three, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I really like this movie. It was kind of like an artistic maniac in a way. The lead actress who plays the psychotic hairstylist is really good. There's some like basically what she does is she becomes obsessed with certain clients and she scalps them and then wears their scalps. And I will say the ending of this movie was absolutely horrifying. Like I did not see that
What?
coming, and it's like shocking. It's like holy shit, that was a fucked up ending. The movie's like beautifully shot. It's really colorful. The production design's really good. The music is really good. The one big but I have with this movie, and it's a big but, it's really slow and like some
Mm.
of the scenes just go on too long. And what I mean by that is there's like long shots of maybe like the hairstylist like looking into the mirror, and it just like this was the filmmaker's I believe first film. It was actually a short that she redid into a feature film. And I think she really needs to learn how to like edit down, like, because I think she just fell in love too much with some of her shots. And again, the movie looks gorgeous, and I think it's really well done. It's really good. It's just like, and it's kind of movie you do need to pay attention because like there's things that happen that like if you don't notice them, you're going to be confused. But a lot of times like it was just scenes were going on too long, and I kind of missed certain things, and I had to go back and be like, wait, what? But I do recommend the movie. I thought it was really cool. You don't see a lot of female, slashers in movies and that are believable, and I thought this was really good. So I do recommend The Stylist. I think I saw it on Peacock, believe it or not.
I could definitely say I never saw a film about a hairstylist. So, I mean, because of that alone, it could be very interesting. And I guess, I mean, that was a pretty good game. I did fairly well, but I think my real question is why did you watch so many horror films this week?
You know what it was? Like I was like thinking that like we were only going to talk about one movie for the show, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch like another movie or two just to give some hot takes to kill some airtime. And then I just got into it. I'm just like, let me just keep watching
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, no,
And then
I
like
feel that.
once I got through like three, I was like, this would be an interesting drinking game. So then it made me like watch some more. And I'm glad I did because like I ended up watching The Stylist last night, and I probably never would have watched this movie if it wasn't to like add to the game. So, and I'm glad I watched it. It
Wow.
was really good.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I mean, I hate to say that this week I really just watched Companion and I fucking rewatched the new Halloween trilogy again.
Oh my God. Why?
I'm getting into it. I'm getting into it,
Did you
dude.
play the drinking game in Halloween Kills where you drink every time they say evil dies
No,
tonight? Or
no, I did not, but I will when we ever do that film on the
we
podcast.
never will because I hated those films. I hate that trilogy, and I've rewatched
Um,
them a couple of times. I just can't get into it. I just
I'm just getting into it, man. I'm just trying to watch some new Halloween, films. You can't just
ah.
keep watching like the few, man. I'm old now. I've been watching these movies for like 30 years,
Well, you could watch eight weird movies like I did, which I would probably
Yeah,
never do again because I rarely watch like things I've never seen before. It takes a lot to get me to try something.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, no, I just wasn't in the mood to pioneer this week. I was just trying to watch some regular shit.
I feel that. All right, so let's get to like the movie that we teased we were going to talk about. We're going to talk about Companion, which again just came out for streaming. And surprisingly, this movie I thought it was going to be like a Maidroid ripoff. It does not rip off Maidroid. However, I do believe the filmmakers watched both Maidroid movies. It's very clear that there's certain things that like that seems familiar. So anyway, so you want to get the plot of this one since I literally just read 10
Uh,
synopses.
yeah, I mean, all right, companion. A weekend getaway at a rich Russian's lake house turns into like a murdering spree when a greedy plot unfolds, and some of the guests turn out to be androids.
Nice. Yeah, that's basically it.
I think that covers it,
Yeah,
right?
I think that definitely covers it. And look, this one, it's gonna be tough to talk about this one without spoiling it because there's a bunch of plot twists in this one. And I think if you like I knew very little about the movie and I was like surprised and I appreciated some of the plot twists. But I think we have to spoil the movie.
It is 100% my thought that if someone actually listens to this podcast, it's because they watched this film and they hear like a take on it, and they wouldn't listen to this if they did not
Okay.
watch
That's true. They
that
would have
film.
turned it off.
So that's just what I'm thinking. Because this film, if you do go into it kind of not knowing anything, it's probably a lot more interesting. But honestly, none of the twists and turns were that crazy. Where like my jaw dropped and I was like, "Holy shit!" It's all kind of predictable. So I don't think we're really screwing with anyone's viewing of this if we give some details. I mean, yeah, we'll take it as far as we can.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I was surprised by some of the plot twists, but they do
Really?
happen. Yeah, they do happen early in the movie, at least. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
again, I knew there was like some kind of android. It's very like obvious that Sophie Thatcher, who's having a moment now, is an android. I didn't realize there was a second android, and I didn't really realize like that the whole thing was basically a plot to rob this guy. Like I was kind of like, oh, that's a nice twist. So I thought those things were interesting. I thought it was written very well. I thought it was a clever movie. I don't really see how they're calling it a horror movie. To me, it's again, I think I said this earlier, it's more of like a black comedy to me. I think there are like five or six kills in the movie, so there is like some violence, but I didn't get anything horror from it. And I think you and I were kind of texting about this, like trying to like decide like what actually constitutes a horror film. Like, to me, this doesn't like check the boxes of a horror movie, but some people believe it is. I mean, that's like the first genre listed on IMDb. So I want to get your take on that. Like, do you feel a movie like this is a horror movie? Like, or if not, like, what would have made it a horror movie? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So I watched this film twice.
Oh,
I watched it once, and then I just fucking hit that button. I watched it again, man, because I felt like it deserved a second viewing, and I felt like, and a lot of times, and I probably say this ad nauseum, that if I'm just really paying attention for like details and things like that, I might miss like some of the minor things or like the big picture things just because I'm focusing on like, things to talk about for the podcast. So I do think it was a horror film on the second watching. On the first viewing, I was like, I don't know what kind of film this is. But then on the second viewing, I'm like, sci-fi is definitely a subgenre. Sci-fi horror is a thing, and that's what this is. It's just slightly different. It's just a lot more modern than like say past sci-fi horrors that involve like aliens and things like this. This is really kind of tapping into those existential fears of like, bots replacing humans and the fear of AI. I mean, there are people that are petrified of AI. Like right now, they think like their whole life is going to be ruined. They think they're going to lose their job. They think that, they're not going to be necessary anymore and that the bots are going to replace them. And here we have a film where we no longer need someone of, the opposite sex anymore. We could get everything we need from an android and just kind of like make them exactly who we want them to be. So I took that and I took the fact that there were kills because I watch a lot of movies. And I'm gonna say, if it's not a horror movie, there's probably not a kill in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there was like five or six, like you mentioned. There
And
aren't
they're
any
pretty
kills, and some
graphic
of them were
too. Like,
brutal. They were
yeah,
brutal, man.
the very first
So
kill, it's funny, like that very first kill where she kills that guy, Sergey.
yeah, Sergey,
And it's
yeah.
funny, she walks in the house and she's covered in blood, and I'm like, okay, that's excessive. Like, how is she that covered in blood? And then they show you what happened, and I was like,
Show
oh,
it,
okay,
yeah.
that makes
It
sense
was
and why she would be covered in blood.
it was like Carrie when she walked
Yeah.
in, and I found
Oh,
it so hysterical that like no one reacted. They just kind of like looked at her and they're like, "Oh, what happened?" It
yeah.
was just like it was to me. That's where I get like that dark humor that you're definitely talking about. I got a lot of dark humor from there because it's like, how come no one like freaked out and they're like, "Oh my God, she's covered in blood. What the hell? She's holding a knife." But they're just like, "Are you okay?" You know? So, yeah, definitely a lot of dark humor, black comedy elements to it. But I think at its core, it's a horror film, and I appreciated it for basically everything that it was. A little bit of horror, not a ton, a little bit of dark humor, and a little bit of drama, and a little bit of a mystery, right? I mean, it had a lot to it. It was pretty good for something that seemed linear, but some good twists and turns. It's a horror film, I think.
That's an interesting take. Like, I don't know if that sways me. How I will say though that the last 20 minutes of the movie get really dark. And basically the scene where Josh, the boyfriend, realizes that the android, and I forget her name,
Which one? Her?
Iris.
Yeah, Iris. Yeah.
He realizes that she'll do his every command, and that she feels and can interpret pain, and he makes her hold her hand over
Oh
a
yeah.
candle. And you see like she's tearing up and crying, but can't like pull away. And just the look on his face of just like not even caring, like that was horrifying to me, and it makes me think of like the HBO series Westworld, where again people
Oh
are just
yeah. Yeah,
there's these
definitely.
androids that they're basically just abusing the shit out of because there are no consequences. But these androids do feel, right? If we program them to feel things, and it makes you think that like just because it's like a machine, like if you're teaching it to interpret things a certain way, that is very real. Just like how certain things might bother me that might not bother you, it's very real to me, but not real to you. So I do think it just shows the depths of like you know how brutal people can be. And I would say probably the last 20-30 minutes, I guess, would classify for more as a horror film to me. I just felt the tone. I think it's where I go with where I don't think it's horror, and I think that's in the tone. And the tone just didn't feel the tone felt more like a comedy to me, which again, not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I actually enjoyed this movie. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Um, and like I probably will rewatch it again, which like is shocking. But like within 5 minutes, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know about this movie. Like the tone is off. But yeah, it's they do a lot with it. It's very smart and it's very clever. And I like what they did with a lot of the stuff. I think one negative I have about it is it's just a personal thing. I really don't like the actor that plays Josh, Jack Quaid,
What? Oh,
who's
you
from The
don't?
Boys. Yeah, I just don't like him. I and
Oh,
like
he's
I do
he's
like
from
I'm a fan of The
Scream
Boys.
5.
I didn't like Scream 5. I'm a fan of The Boys except for his character. Like, he just every time he's on screen, I get kind of annoyed. It's not that he's a bad actor. I don't like him, but he's good in this.
He's a
He plays
Nepo
the role
baby.
really well. Oh, that's right. Yeah, maybe that's another reason why I don't like him.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid, Meg Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the role well.
I think there's absolutely a perfect reason why he was casted in this film, and it's because he literally played the same exact character in Scream 5. He was just like some shitty boyfriend who was like two-faced and really turned on you and became evil. And I thought that was probably the most interesting part about his character is that for like half the film he was like this like kind of nerdy guy and you're like this he's a pushover and whatever basic dude, and then all of a sudden he turned into like this really evil like dude that was just so devious, and yeah, he did torture her and things like that again, making like, not the android but the human is the real monster, that kind of old adage there. And I think he played that well. I did like him a lot in this film. I thought he was perfect. I really did. He was definitely one of my favorite actors outside of Sophie, who I'm really getting into as an actress. I mean, it's so easy for someone, and you know this for a fact, so easy for someone to overplay a robot or an android or something like that. Like it could be, you could play it believably, or you could play it so over the top, or it's like, hello, my name is Iris, and it's just
Yeah.
like so fake. And you're just like, yeah, I know, I get it. You're a robot. But I think she really walked that line perfectly to be like, I believe she is not a person. But at the same time, I do believe that she's an android that has feelings. I mean, she did it. She pulled it off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She played it very human as opposed to playing it more robot. And I do like the scenes where she's like confused, like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like those I thought that was really interesting. And again, getting back to Jack Quaid, who plays Josh, I did think he did a really good job. It's just a personal thing. Like, there's certain actors you just see and you're just like, oh, I can't even look at this guy. Like, it's just like that's like it for me. But he was really good in it. And I tell you what, like I think my favorite scene in the movie, this cracked me up for some reason. So basically, all these people end up getting murdered by various androids, and Josh is trying to blame it on Iris. That she just snapped and kind of, went crazy and killed everybody. He has no idea what happened. And he's explaining it to the people that are from the corporation that
Oh
supplied,
yeah.
the android to them. Again, makes me think very much of Maidroid. But he's telling the story, and it's very unbelievable what he's saying. It just sounds like ridiculous. But the guys, like the tech guys, are buying it. And then they get back in the truck, and the one guy's like, do you believe his story? And the guy's like, nah, that guy's fucked. Like,
Yeah,
they're
that was
just like they're just pretending
that
to
was
listen to him, but like, meanwhile they know that like the CPU of the unit is like in the stomach, which wasn't destroyed. Like they're gonna get all this data. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely like a lot of, I would say, humorous parts to this film. Yeah, that was definitely one of a lot of things where you just kind of cheer, like where she like runs over his foot when she's kind of
Yeah.
like trying to make her escape. And one of the funniest lines was when Iris is really just talking about like how well she knows him and she knows everything about him. And she's like, yeah, I know you have a below average penis size. And
Yeah,
I mean,
that that too.
it was
Yeah.
just like
I think
things
I
like
wrote that
that.
down.
Yeah, it just kind of like it hit, and it hit at a good moment. It hit like a serious moment, and it broke like that tension, and it made you laugh. But it's like there's something really sinister going on, and it broke it for you, so it gave you like that levity from it. And to me that was, I think they balanced this film well with the mood and the tone. Personally, I think they did okay, because the parts I think that were supposed to be like brutal and action orientated, they were, and then the scenes that were supposed to be kind of like lighthearted were, the scenes that were supposed to be fun were fun. And I think this film kind of like covered all those bases. I'm gonna be honest with you. One of my favorite scenes in this entire film was like right at the beginning, when they get to the lake house, and they put on a CD, and they put on Book of Love, man, and they play like one of my favorite songs on earth. And here's a bunch of 30 somethings, listening to like something that like I really love, and I'm older than 30 something, and they were feeling it, and I was feeling it, and I was dancing myself, dude. I literally got up and danced during that scene because it was just such a fun moment for me. They're just drinking wine, they're like chilling out to that song. I loved it. And for me, that was like right in the beginning. So maybe that kind of put me on like a positive path with this film because I was like, I love that. And really, it was going to be hard for them to screw up after that for me because I thought that was brilliant.
I think it was a nice touch that it was a CD too, because again, it kind of makes it as if like the twist that she's an android, like because like you're thinking like what time period is this happening that they got a CD, and most likely they're just hipsters how like and it's like how we play
Yeah,
vinyl,
definitely.
we
Yeah,
play vinyl
exactly.
records and love it, and like in 20 years they're gonna be playing CDs
Playing
and they're gonna
CDs and be like, this
love
sounds
it,
so
but
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I kind of thought about,
I
but yeah, that was interesting.
so on the rewatch, I saw one little hint that I didn't pick up the first time I watched it, and it was in like within probably the first 10 minutes of the film that Iris was not a person, and it's when they get out of the car and they're at the lake house, and Iris is holding these two giant suitcases, and Josh didn't have anything. He just had like a little backpack,
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't
and
pick up on that.
yeah, and you're like, what kind of guy is this? He's making, this woman carry like his luggage and he's just like holding nothing. It's like, at least be equal and each take a suitcase, but she had like two like and they were massive. They were like two massive suitcases and he just had like a little book bag or something like that. And I was like, man, this guy's a dick. Like right away, I was like, what is it? And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's something going on here. And I think that was the first hint.
Yeah, and I think especially just thinking like how the hell did this nerdy guy like land Sophie Thatcher too is
Oh,
another thing.
yeah,
And just
yeah.
the fact that she's so into him and like even when they like fuck it literally lasts half a second and like I'm like why would anyone put up with this? And it's like oh yeah that's and the same thing too with the other relationship with the android. I forget the character's name but the one who plays the
Pat,
human who
Eli.
plays Eli who plays Guillermo on What We Do in the Shadows who was I love on that show. I'm even thinking like how did he land this guy? Like he
Yeah.
like really kind of like handsome boyfriend who really loves him, and you're like, okay, like I mean, shit happens. But I remember but it's a movie, but I'm thinking like, how do these people land these like people that are like above their status?
I loved it. I loved how they replayed like the meet cutes and
Yeah, I thought that was clever.
I thought they were fun. I thought that the fact that they acted them out instead of just saying it was like it really made it believable to kind of really throw you off for a little while in this film. I think the reveal comes like maybe what 25 minutes in or something like
Yeah,
that.
something
Maybe
like that.
maybe less, but I thought it was so cool that you saw their meet cute, and then you see like Patrick and Eli's meet cute when he's telling the story to everyone at the table. But everyone, the people on the inside kind of knew it was like a fake story, and that Patrick's the an android as well. But I just I th those are some of my favorite parts of the film, and I think the soundtrack was awesome. When he does get the delivery of Iris, he's listening to Iris the Goo Goo Dolls song.
Oh yeah,
So
I
so
didn't catch
so
that.
so yeah, so clearly that's where he must be like his favorite jam or something like that because he's actually listening to a song called Iris when they deliver her and the guy kind of paused before he said the android's name. So I thought that was like really to make it land and they're like, "Oh, this is Iris," and it's like, "Oh, that connected for me." So I thought they did a lot of clever things with the music and the soundtrack. It was I just had a lot of fun with this film. And honestly, when I heard your description of it, because you watched it first, I was like, shit, man, I don't want to watch this at all. Like honestly, like I didn't want to watch it at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised you liked it. I'm surprised I liked it because again,
Mhm.
if you described this movie to me, I'd be like, yeah, it's a pass for me. But like, I'm gonna stick with it, right? And I stuck with it, and I'm like, yeah, actually, I like what they're doing, and it is very, again, I think I said this earlier, it's clever, it's very well written, and it does for a movie like this that is like, again, a comedy, it does make you think, because yeah, like just say we do get to a point, and I'm sure we will, where people can have android girlfriends and boyfriends, and they start replacing people. Other people need to like start accepting it. So like it's very clear, like Josh and Iris, like the one other character, the other female character, I can't think of her name.
Cat.
Cat is like just so disgusted by like this relationship. Like it
Yeah.
just like seems so unnatural to her. Meanwhile, she's like getting ready to like kill this other guy to steal his money. So like she's not one to make judgments, but like she has this whole like morality around it. And it's like that's where we're gonna be, where like those of us who aren't like accepting of this are gonna like have our friends bring their robot girlfriends around and we have to pretend like this is like a human relationship. Like it's gonna be so awkward when
Yeah, it's that existential crisis. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm all for it.
I mean,
I say
yeah.
all the time, man. I'm into AI. I'm into technology, man. Let it run my life. Let it do all the things I don't want to do, and let me just live and be happy. And I think that's like what the future is like. And if having like an Android girlfriend or boyfriend, if that does it for you, if you awkward and weird, you can't meet people, hey, here's your solution. I think it's great. But what I also thought was great was kind of tapping into what you're talking about here is if we ever get to that point as humans or as a society, if an android did kill a person, who's responsible for that? Is it the android owner or is it the android? So I feel like Patrick and Kat were almost like developing the perfect crime because are they really responsible for what a robot does? I don't know.
Well, I mean, right in the movie, it makes it clear that they are because they did modify her to
But they
do
didn't know
violence.
they would get caught for that. They thought if they just removed like the malware that no one would be able to know. But I mean, just thinking like legally, if it did work out that the client were just sort of called cops and they were pretty much going to be off the hook, right? I mean, the robot did it, not me.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to get very murky when this kind of stuff does
Yeah,
happen, right? Like,
that's
and
what I'm
like what?
saying,
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I guess the company and the manufacturer could prove that, like, this robot was incapable of that without coercion. But yeah, it's going to get really tricky. This is going to be like a very interesting thing that ends up happening, and we'll have, and maybe this movie's very prophetic of what's going to happen in life. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
actually.
hope I'm alive to see it because I'm very excited. And if I'm not liking someone and I happen to have an Android, well, I'm not going to finish that just in case, like 30 years from
Yeah,
now.
this is like recorded and going on the internet, which is forever. So
Yeah.
you would not do
Well,
that basically when you if
this
that would
this is all
happen.
for effect too, and half of what I'm saying is just like shit, and I'm just making it up as I'm
Yeah, we're just yeah, it's just a show. It's just for
I'm
entertainment.
drunk. Did you guys hear what I was drinking? It was 113 proof. I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
You did win the drinking game we did earlier.
I did. Don't remind them. This is going to be played in some courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because again, in the marketing of this movie, again, they are marketing it more as a horror. Like on the poster, it's like from one of the producers of Barbarian. So you're thinking it's going to be something very different. So I imagine there's gonna be a lot of people that are very pleasantly surprised with this movie, and then a lot of people are very disappointed based on kind of how they angled it. I think it's a really good date movie. I think it's something that like you could like anyone's gonna like, even if you're not a horror fan. I think you could find something in it that's interesting to you. I think when I was thinking about like how to describe this movie, like just tonally, it reminds me of like maybe that It's What's Inside movie that we watched, or maybe
Okay, yeah.
like a Megan kind of movie that like it
Yeah.
does have like some like horror elements, but it's very the tone is again very like humorous and tongue in cheek and modern. Which again you just got to be in the mood for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been seeing like a lot of comments online, and a lot of people are just like, "This is the best horror film of 2025. You all have to watch it right away." So I think it is being embraced as a horror film. I think maybe the definition of horror has definitely evolved over the last, I would say, probably 3 years. It's getting a little more blurry than what it used to be, and maybe some movies like this that kind of could cross over into different genres, they're still getting accepted into the horror community verse a couple years ago, where something like this absolutely would never be embraced by the horror community. Everyone would just like be shaking their fist and pounding, but this is not a horror film. Show me the horror, show me the gore, show me the blood, show me the things like that. But I mean, it's just getting a little more, smarter, a little more clever, and still, I mean, it's an evil story. I mean, it's when you think about it, and to me, that's what horror really is. And the humans were horrible. I mean, there was just so many elements to this that I feel kind of makes it a horror film. But is it traditional? Is it a classic? Like a Friday the 13th or something? It's not a slasher. It's not anything like that. But I mean, like, is it a Silence of the Lambs? Yeah, maybe. When you think about that, what's like, is that a horror film? I I think so. It's about a serial killer. This is about a robot that went on and killed a bunch of people. I mean, and it was gory. So
Yeah, again, to me, it does come down to tone, right? And I think Silence of the Lambs has a very dark tone. I feel like this doesn't till the very end. However, again, I do get what you're saying there as to like what, what, again, horror is subjective, right? It's like what's horror to me might not be horror to somebody else. I do think, again, they are making a lot more of these like broader, movies that appeal to a bigger audience, but also that can appeal to horror fans. I think this movie is like a little bit campy too, which is probably why I
oh
liked it a
yeah,
little bit.
definitely. This is
It
camp.
definitely does not take itself too seriously, which again was not expected. I did not think this would be as light a movie as it was, considering the subject matter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't take itself seriously, and I think those are really like the parts that I probably enjoyed the most. And then I like the brutality, like you said, like the kills, they were brutal. There might have been five, but I could think of great horror films that only have like four or three, and you're just like, damn, that was a crazy ass movie I just saw. And. I think, when something has this much blood and it's spraying all over the place, and like faces are getting smashed in, and like there's knives, and there's like that massive gun, there's a revolver that had I don't know if it was a 357 or bigger, but it was massive, that gun. And I mean, I was like, damn, this is crazy. I thought it was good. I do feel it's a horror film, and in case anyone wants to know what determines a horror film, it's me. I'm telling you, it's a horror film.
Well, I mean, yeah, you
So
are the
so
host of the
yeah,
Horror Heads podcast, so
I mean,
I guess what you
yeah,
say is law.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If anyone wants to know, maybe just rewind this back and be like, did Jerry actually say this is a horror film? Oh, he did. Okay, so it must be. No, I'm just fucking around. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
mean, we're not getting paid like, tens of thousands of dollars to talk about horror movies and we don't know our shit. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're getting paid. I'm getting paid hundreds of thousands. So, and a barrel of makers. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, it's definitely subjective, and a lot of people are definitely going to dismiss this very, very quickly. But I mean, it's sci-fi. Sci-fi scary. Thinking about this is scary. Thinking about if I worked with a robot and I'm not needed anymore and things like that, and you could just get someone who doesn't age and things like that. I mean, it's definitely a lot of things to like make you question like who you are as a person and where we're going as people. That's terrifying. I mean, that's some of the most terrifying questions that we could ask ourselves. So, I think the tone kind of alleviates some of that and makes you laugh at some things like, oh, that's stupid. That would never happen. But I mean, I don't know. Let's have this conversation in 15 years and see where we're at, because we might have, it might be me, you, and an android hosting this podcast.
or just two androids. Yeah, I
Well, if
think
I
it
could just
is.
sit here and drink and have the android talk, I mean, that's the dream, right?
Have them watch the movies too, so we don't have to watch
Oh
all this
man.
shit. I think the tone helps the movie stand apart, and it makes it very different because again, like as someone who's made two horror adjacent movies about female android companions, and there have been many others that have happened since. It was nice to see like someone take a different twist on that kind of concept and do something very different that stands apart. And I think if it was more darker or more like a straight up slasher movie, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much because I probably would have been like, okay, I've seen this before, or I just don't have interest in this. So I think the fact that they did make it more campy, more comedic, really helped with my enjoyment of the movie. And again, I do think it is something I'm going to rewatch again. I don't know, when, but so all in all, I just say like I did like it. I did not think I was going to like it. Surprisingly, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm with you because I mentioned it before that, you're sending me some text, telling me, kind of give me a quick overview of this film. And I really went into it blind other than the couple of sentences that you told me about it. And I really didn't know what to expect when I see the imagery and it says companion and things like that. I'm like, I kind of have a sense of like where it's going to go, but I really didn't know all the little twists and turns and how they were going to play it and how well it was going to be acted. And, I thought all that combined really just made a good film that I liked. I'm shocked that I liked it. I'm shocked that I'm going to watch it again probably
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
So, I don't know how much more I could say about it other than I thought this was a well written and a well acted film that really came together for me. And looking at it as a whole, it works. It works for me, and I liked it. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm probably gonna watch it with my wife now that I know that it's kind of something that she could watch along as, with me as well. It's not too brutal. It has a good story to it. So it's something you could share with other people. Like you said, it's a good like date night kind of film. I don't know if it's like a horror and chill film.
I'm texting you as I'm watching it too, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not a horror film." And I know we were like debating over text, like, should we even talk about this movie? And I'm glad we did because again, I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm glad you actually found enjoyment in it because I'm watching it. I'm like, yeah, even if it's not a horror movie, like it's still pretty good. It's still like worth talking about. So like, I'm glad we kind of kept it on the docket for today. And otherwise, we'd just be drinking, talking about the more shitty horror movies that I watched over the weekend.
Yeah, what was that first one that you watched?
Oh Jesus! Oh,
What
I
was
already
the first
forgot.
film?
New Life, New Life.
New Life. Yeah, we've been talking about New Life for 20 minutes and that sounds awful.
Yeah, no, but
So,
I would be into talking about Grafted for 20 minutes because I do think that was like the best horror movie I've seen this year so far. I will say that.
really? All right. So,
Yeah,
I will watch that
yeah.
and
Just because it's very different, it's a very different movie.
I will check it. I definitely have Shudder. I like Shudder films.
Yeah, Shudder's been surprising me lately with their originals because like there was a time where a bunch of them I was watching were just awful. And then I think the past couple I watched, I forget what the other one was that I watched I talked about, but yeah, they're getting better with their quality. They're going more like art house with some of
Yeah,
these,
definitely.
which I think is the right move. Very different audience, right? But I think again, like those kind of movies kind of hit harder sometimes. So I think they're doing the right thing by focusing on some
Yeah,
of
I,
these.
I feel like they're kind of leaning into like that like neon kind of movement, but not going too far as like A24, where some of those are just they're just so boring and ridiculous, and it's just like, it's being presented as art, so you should like it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I'm gonna like it, Like there's plenty of art I do like, there's plenty of art I don't like, and that could be any type of art, whether it's painting, music, film, anything. So like you can't just say it's art and I'm gonna like it. So I think what Shudder is doing is they're kind of like embracing both sides of like what artistic filmmaking could be, but also making sure that they're checking those boxes for their core audience, which is, horror fans. If you just look at, what kind of films they keep on their platform, which they don't have that many, maybe 200, 300 films. That's it. It's a pretty small catalog. Most of them are like really like horror films that you love. So the fact that they come out with originals that you can enjoy, I like a lot of them. I mean, I maybe watched like one or two I didn't like, but there's plenty that I do like. And I always find myself more than anywhere else, I watch those films the most over and over again.
Yeah, they're starting to fill the gap that like A24 is leaving as like A24 kind of I don't know what direction they're going in with their horror films, but
It's
like
going too far.
yeah, the last few I've watched of it just like the same movie over and over again,
It's
and
like you
I just
can't
I'm
you
not
can't even
feeling it.
watch it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like a slow burn. It's like it can't be a crawl burn. It has to be a slow it has to be a slow burn, And I don't know if I just made up a new genre, but
Crawl
it's
burn, is that what you said?
crawl burn, yeah. Then that's how I used to get home from the parties, Rich. So you could definitely relate to that.
I'm
But
about to crawl to the couch and make that old fashioned in about
yeah.
10 minutes. I need a robot. I need an android right now to make my old fashioned because I'm about to crawl to the couch.
I mean, you just get a butler robot, right? I mean, that would work.
Okay, cool. So let's wrap this one up because I don't
Yeah.
know what more to say about Companion other than we both kind of enjoyed it. So what we do for each movie that we dive deep into is we rate them on a scale of five bloody knives, zero being the worst, five being the best. And what we do is we play a little drinking game where Jerry will drink the number of sips that correspond to the rating that I give the film, and vice versa. So if I give a movie three bloody knives, Jerry needs to drink three sips, and so on and so forth. So zero to five bloody knives. What do you give this movie, Companion?
I am shocked with the number I'm about to give. And I know I mentioned I liked it and I gave a lot of hints and I watched it twice. And I'd say on the second viewing, it went up a half bloody knife because I just picked up a few little details that made me like the film more. So I mean, I cannot even believe I'm going to say this. I'm giving it a four.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
four bloody knives. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought this was a good film, and I picture it being in my rotation. I'm probably going to look for a reason to watch it in October. Maybe I just use it as a genre, as like an AI or Android horror, something like that. I'm gonna find a reason to watch this again. So I liked it a lot. Four bloody knives.
So we'll need to do the drinking game of did Jerry like it or not? Because if you would have told me, I would have never thought you would have liked this movie. But I thought I like, but when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, he's gonna give this like a one. He's gonna hate this. So like that, nice a four. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as you, but I did like it. I did enjoy it. I think it's definitely better than most of the things I'm watching. I don't wish it was more horror in my opinion because I think that would have ruined the movie. I do like that it was more fun. I'm giving it a three. So
Wow.
that's
Okay. Yeah,
yeah. So
that's good.
four sips for me, three sips for Jerry. Let's cheers.
All right. Cheers. Mm.
Mm.
Oh, this heavy proof is burning still. Ooh, even though my ice melted, it's burning. It's hot. Ooh.
So this was a bit of a shorter episode. Like sometimes you got to throw those in. There just wasn't like anything new we else wanted to talk about. So like would next the next episode though, I am half excited, half not excited because we're going to be doing a St. Patrick's Day episode. We're going to be talking about the Leprechaun franchise, which I've never watched any of those films. I can only imagine how they are. And we're going to do something a little different. We're going to drink some Guinness and we're going to probably do some Irish whiskey shots throughout the
Probably
episode.
gonna
So
throw
that'll be
up
fun.
too.
I'm
So
probably going to throw up. So that'll be fun. So that's what's next. Yeah, so check it out.
I'm excited and thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for all the support online and on Instagram and everything. Keep listening and tell your friends, tell your mother that the Horrorheads are pretty cool.
All right. I have one sip left. So let's cheers to close this one
Yeah,
out.
man. Me too. Cheers.
Cheers to AI.
Yeah, next time you won't even know if I'm here. It'll just be
All right,
a
everybody, have a good
hologram.
night.